Hello, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I are back. We have a bunch of Brewer games to discuss today, and we also have a Badger football recap to do today. So Mike is our Badger guy. He's going to join us for that. But first, Jake and I have 6 Milwaukee Brewer games that we're going to discuss. The second half of the Diamondbacks series that the Brewers had at home, the 3-game series that the Brewers had in Toronto against the Blue Jays, and then the first game of their 3-game series with the Phillies that resumes tonight. So we have those 6 games. Then we're going to recap the Badgers' win over Miami, Ohio, and then preview their matchup against Middle Tennessee. So we're going to start with baseball and then go into football, but let's get started with the intro.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
So before we get started, I just want to say, if you are a Green Bay Packers fan, go check out our show from last night. Last night we did the Packers schedule review, the NFC North outlook, and our record predictions before previewing the Packers versus Lions matchup on Sunday. We are just a few days away from Packers football being back. We did all of that with Mike Spofford, the editors of Packers.com. He always gives us great insight, and obviously he is at the practices every day and in the locker room and interviewing players and talking to players. So he always gives us really great insight. Go and check that out from last night. Moving into today, we are starting with Brewers baseball, and we're going back to last week and the 3rd and 4th games of the Diamondbacks series. So, Jake, welcome back, and you can give me your thoughts from the 3-2 loss last week against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, so as we're talking about this, everybody was enjoying a Brewers off day yesterday. Not just the fans, because I feel like we needed it a little bit too, because it was stressful watching all those games consecutively. But the players, the legs were just dead at the end of this. You could tell that they were running on fumes this last week. But going into last Wednesday, they played the 3rd of 4 games versus the Diamondbacks. They used Ashby as a starter. Right, he pitched 2 innings, got 3 strikeouts. He looked really good. He looked real sharp. He was used a bunch over this 19 and 18 games stretch here. And on this day, we found out about one Trevor McGill, and the corresponding move to that was Eric Fetty. Eric Fetty. Did I say his name wrong?
You did. You're good.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought I said.
I said, yep, you're good.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So Eric Fetty, he gave us 4 1/3, and honest to God, man. Yes, he gave up 8 hits and 2 earned runs, and he had the 2 Ks. I'm honestly, I'm impressed for him to just come in same day, get signed, and then just be thrown out there. No connection with Contreras, no connection with Jansen, no connection, with the pitching coaches, with the staff, with anybody. He just comes in out of nowhere and gives you 4 1/3 when the Brewers were in dire need of a guy to just eat innings.
Can I jump in on the pitchers?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
So you covered Ashby well. He was really good. On Eric Fetty, apparently they did have plans to bring him in on Tuesday already after they knew that McGill was going to go on the injured list. So the move came out on Wednesday, but it was they were ready to bring him in on Tuesday. But you're absolutely right on everything else. Not having any experience with Contreras or Jansen behind the plate to just basically be the Dallas Keuchel addition to just we just need somebody to eat a couple innings while we're waiting for guys to get back and while we're playing this insane stretch of games. Steve said it's good that the Brewers got a day off yesterday. Was there any updates on Shelby Miller? Hope he'll be okay. Go Brewers. There is an update on Shelby Miller, and unfortunately, it's not a good one. Shelby Miller is going to miss the rest of the season. He has a strained UCL and is unfortunately looking at a second Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
It really does. It's really unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is. As we're looking at the bullpen, Trevor McGill should be back soon. DL Hall is potentially still back late September. Robert Gosser is rehabbing, so there's arms available. It's just unfortunate that Shelby Miller, unfortunately, isn't going to be one of them. But I just wanted to jump in on Eric Fetty just on a couple things. One, I wanted him at the trade deadline last year. We didn't get him. The Cardinals did, and the Cardinals did not do him well. They did not put him in positions to succeed. And if there's anybody who can get him back to the way that he was pitching for the White Sox when I wanted him at the trade deadline last year, it's obviously the Brewers. There's
Yep.
no question that it's the Brewers. If there's anybody that can get somebody back to their high-performing ways, it's the Brewers. And you mentioned the 8 hits that he had in the 4 1/3 innings. He does pitch to contact, kind of similarly to Quinn Priester, kind of like that. So I just wanted to jump in there on that. So you are free to continue. Yeah. It's an ouch, Zach. It's unfortunate.
It definitely is an out. Shelby Miller was outstanding for us in his first couple appearances with the Brewers. Hopefully, if he gets the surgery and everything goes well, he stays in Milwaukee. I have no second thoughts that he'll be just as dominant coming back from it. He comes in the third inning and he has a 1-2-3 third inning, ground out, a fly out, and a line out. Like you said, pitching to contact. And then in the fourth inning, he comes out, gets a 1-2-3 inning. He gets a line out, a strikeout, and a ground out. So his first 6 batters, you're just like 6 up, 6 down. You're thinking like, Jesus Christ, the Brewers did it again. They can't keep getting away with this. And in the 5th inning, he gets a fly out. So he gets the first 7 batters that he faced, he gets retired. It's absolutely phenomenal. He gives up a single, a fly out, a single, and then back-to-back singles, but a guy gets thrown out at home plate. So a great defensive play there by the Brewers to save a run. And he's through his first 3 innings of work, and he's looking tremendous, getting all outs, giving up no runs, getting helped by the defense. But that's just how it works in Milwaukee. No matter what kind of pitcher you are, that's how they kind of set up the defense. And that goes to the question of people always talking about playoffs. And I'm excited about playoffs too. And people are talking about taking away at bats from Isaac Collins, taking away at bats from Churio. I think depending on what pitcher is out there, that'll depend on if Isaac Collins is in left field or if Churio's in left field or center field. If there's a guy who's a ground ball pitcher like a Priester, you're probably going to have Isaac Collins in left and Churio in center because he's getting more ground balls. You're not going to get as much work in center field. But other guys that are fly ball guys, you're going to want
Freddie
your guy
Peralta.
out there, Blake Perkins. So
Freddie Peralta is a perfect example of a guy you would stick Blake Perkins in center for.
Because he can save, he can rob home runs, which obviously he did this week. So, but then in the 6th inning, he gave up he had a ground out, a single, and then he gave up a home run, and those are the 2 earned runs that he ended up giving up. But all things considered, he did phenomenal in my opinion. Mears, everybody's getting on Mears this week, but again, dude, these guys are getting way overused right now.
He's not even just overused in the 19 games in 18 days. He's one of the most used pitchers in baseball of 2025.
Yeah, he needs like a week off, honestly. So I'm not going to get on him for this game. McGee did a phenomenal job. I'm going to talk about him again in the next game, but giving you an inning and 2/3 when, again, I'm going to sound a little redundant with these 2 games, but I cannot stress enough, and Pat Murphy has commented on it, and the team has commented on it, you just got to try to fight and get through this long stretch, which when you looked at the schedule before the season, you were like, it's going to be a tough stretch. And I think people really forgot how good this Diamondbacks team really is. They're only a couple years removed from going to the World Series.
Their offense is still good.
Yeah.
They lost Corbin Burns is the loss that they had. Their offense is still good.
Yeah. I mean, outside of, from injuries from their pitching staff, this team was looking to be one of the best teams in the National League coming into the year. So people got to remember that too. But McGee giving you an inning and 2/3 was absolutely phenomenal. Not that the Brewers didn't have chances to win this game. They lost this one 3-2. They were 1 for 12 at runners in scoring position, and in the 9th inning, to lead off down by 1, Monasterio had a good game. Durbin and Monasterio were the 2 Brewers with multiple hits in this one, and Monasterio's second hit of the game was in the 9th inning, and he tried to stretch out a single into a double, making it a hustle play to put himself in scoring position. You don't fault the effort, but there's just sometimes when when you're down by 1 in the bottom of the 9th, it's probably the time to just stay on first base and take what's given to you. Kind of like what you tell a quarterback, right? You don't have to make a 25-yard play every pass. Take the 7-yard check down.
Yeah.
And then take another 7-yard check down. And that's kind of what it is for the Brewers. You bring up the term death by paper cuts, right? Single, double, single, double, home run. I mean, whatever way you can score is the way you can score. Again, we're not faulting effort, but that was tough to watch.
Yeah. My thing about it is if he does it and he reaches safely, that nobody is questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is, and I've said this, I feel like probably 100 times in the last year and a half, you can't only like how aggressive the Brewers are when it works. I say it all the time about the contact play. You say it about stretching, going from first to third, taking second base. You can't only be excited about it when it works.
True.
I've said this 1,000 times too. You can't only like it when it works, because if it worked 100% of the time, everybody would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the trade-off. The other, the opposite side of the coin is you play conservative. Sure, you might make fewer outs on the bases, but you're also scoring less.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting essentially the weight that you're weighing back and forth is, do you have a higher chance of getting an extra base, or do you have a higher chance of getting an extra hit? And personally, with the way the Brewers are built, I strongly believe that even if you use 300 as a baseline, that it's better than a coin flip of 50-50, a 500 chance that you're reaching safely on the extra base. Because not only is it, the pitcher versus batter matchup, but then you're also taking into effect where the fielders are throwing the ball. So a fielder needs to throw an accurate ball to the base more so than the pitcher does from the pitcher's mound. And then, obviously tags and speed and all those things come into effect as well. But I'm confident that the Brewers are better at taking extra bases than their team batting averages.
That's a good argument.
Not to mention that if, say, Andres Monasterio gets to second base and the next ball is a ground ball, that it's not a double play.
Fair.
So it takes away some force outs and stuff too. Zach said two things. One, saying the pitching lab is amazing. It absolutely is. We've moved on from trusting the pitching lab to blind trust. Anything they do, yep, not questioning it. Zach said we went 9-10 on the stretch, not terrible in a majority of games. We're close. We just needed a couple more big hits, and it's coming off of a 14-game winning streak. So if you add those 19 games into the previous 14, you're still looking at a 23-10 stretch over the last 33 games. I feel pretty damn good about that. That's what we talk about. Winning 2 out of 3, 23 out of 33 is better than 2 out of 3.
Yep.
So they're through the gauntlet. And Zach said putting less pitcher on the pitchers in defense if you don't try it. That's absolutely true. And, you can kind of lull the defense into a false sense of security and then go for it once in a while. But we've seen the Brewers put pretty constant pressure on teams, and it results in a lot of good things for the Brewers, to the point where, people are just constantly claiming that the Brewers are, they're just lucky. They're lucky. They're lucky. The teams make errors all the time. The Brewers make people rush their processes, which forces mistakes. That's not luck. That's pressure.
Yep.
So I don't really get super upset about guys getting thrown on the bases. It is what it is.
Yep.
What I don't like is we are on this big-ass marathon stretch, and the Brewers are down 2-1. And they're trying to have Blake Perkins bunting to try to advance a guy 90 feet. Now, I get trying, if this is a playoff game, runs are harder to come by, and you're trying to tie the game up to give yourself better chances to win, whatever. Personally, I don't love it in the middle of this stretch because you're playing to tie instead of playing to win. I was at a point where I would have rather lost in 9 innings than go to extra innings regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was feeling. I would have rather just played to win, play to hit the ball, and if you lose, you lose. But not trying to intentionally extend the game when you're in this stretch. That's the thing that kind of bugged me about it. With 1 out, Christian Yelich on second, I would rather have 2 tries to score him from second base than 1 try to score him from third base.
I agree.
So let's move to Game 4. What stood out to you from Game 4 last Thursday?
Yeah, so we have Quintana on the mound. And after having a spot starter in Ashby and Fetty, You're looking for a guy like Quintana, a veteran, to give you a nice long outing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not what happened. I believe this is the second start this year that Quintana has not gone 5 innings for the Brewers. He gives you 3 2/3, 5 hits, 6 earned runs, and 4 walks. Now, the walks thing is something that has been hurting the Brewers over the last couple of weeks, especially the starters. And, excuse me, I believe that just has to do with fatigue as well. And I know that people are going to be like, that's excuses. But, dog, if you had to go into work and one of those days you had to pull a double shift and you had to go into work for 19 straight days, guess what? Fatigue's going to fit in.
And I think it's a valid thing. Even if you want to call it an excuse, I still think it's valid because you're not going to have that in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're
It's
not
just
going to
not the case in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
I'm willing to not ignore it, but I'm willing to kind of be able to write it off a little bit because that's just not how the playoffs are going to work.
Yeah, so I saw some people saying some ridiculous things. I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to give them the attention that they're seeking because, they can go seek attention from a therapist because that's really what they need. So Quintana, he had a really quick 3 out, 3 down in the first inning, only 13 pitches. He had a ground out, a pop out, and a strikeout. And, before that, or right after that, Frelick leads the game off with a homer, his third leadoff homer of the year. He's up to 10 now. So we're going to have a bunch of guys with double-digit home runs and a bunch of RBIs and stolen bases, and it's fun. It's a fun season to be a Brewers fan.
I can't wait for like 3 weeks from now when we're looking at our stat projections and see how we did.
It's gonna be freaking bonkers. Yeah, in a couple of weeks we have a week where they only have like 4 games for us on that episode, so that'd be a perfect time for that because I think next week we have like 8 again. I was going to talk to you about that, so thank you for bringing that up. We're just game planning episodes live on the show this week. I love
Same
that.
wavelength.
It's perfect. People definitely know that we do this live. So back to Quintana again. 13 pitches in the first inning. In the second inning, he had to throw 35 pitches. This is where the command started to falter for him. 3 runs on 3 hits, and the Brewers were now down 3-1. So then you get to the third inning, you're like, all right, we're down 3-1. Let's clean slate, whatever. He's a veteran. Let's go out there, get a quick third inning. That's not what happened, unfortunately. 32 pitches later in the third inning, 3 runs on 1 hit. 3 of his 4 walks that he had given up on this day were in this inning. He started the inning with back-to-back walks, walk, ground out, walk, ground out, a single and a fly out. The ground out and the single were both RBIs. And all of a sudden, the route was on because they scored 6 unanswered runs after the leadoff homer. And the Brewers did fight back in this one. Collins had a couple RBIs. Monasterio had an RBI. But again, back-to-back days, Brewers go 1 for 12 runners in scoring position. That's 2 for 24 over the last 2 days. That's not going to be what happens in the playoffs. That's not who this Brewers team is.
Right.
They're going to get some off days coming up here.
Yep.
In a couple weeks, like I just mentioned, when they have the week where we only have to cover 4 games, they have an off day on a Thursday and a Monday. You know how good their legs are going to feel?
Right.
You know how good the pitchers are going to feel if they can get, an extra 2 days off as we get ready for this playoff push.
Especially if in that 3-game series over the weekend, if they can win, like an 8-1 game or something like that, and they can kind of rest the bullpen too.
Right. So, Uribe's just got to hold up for us, and a bunch of other guys. I mean, Koenig. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that we can name that, Mears, that are going to get some rest. Ashby's another guy,
Yeah.
So we're going to be just fine. I don't want people to start freaking out like they were last Thursday after the day game. Like, we're going to be okay. The Brewers are still, especially after this off day. Let's just lock in, win a couple of games versus the Phillies, who now have the second best record in baseball, by the way. So the top 2 teams in baseball are playing the next 2 days.
Again, back-to-back series.
Back-to-back series. Let's just lock in, win a couple of games. We could try to lock down this 1 seed so we can get some extra rest going into the playoffs. Everything's going to be just fine. The sky is not falling, okay? I just have to remind everybody that. Steve's getting a little ahead of us. We will talk about that, Steve. But just on this day, Quintana, the control was just not what we're normally seeing from Quintana. So it is what it is. You chalk it up as a loss, you move on to the next day, and that's exactly what the Brewers did.
Yeah. Zach brought up sometimes the Brewers' bunts are base hits, and that's fine.
Yep.
Like, I'm fine with bunting for base hits, but it's less likely to happen when Blake Perkins is up there like this before the pitch is thrown.
Yeah, that's a sacrifice.
That feels much more sacrifice.
Yeah.
Versus the pitch is thrown and then you're dropping it down.
Yeah. Yep.
That feels different. And I've said on our show a bunch of times, like, I'm fine bunting for base hits. Guys like Terang, Perkins, Frelick, Churio, those guys have at it. I'm totally fine with bunting for hits. Bunting for outs, don't do it. Just don't do it. Unless it's the bottom of the 9th or 10th of a tie game and you only need to score 1 run.
Yeah. I will say right now, if Bryce Terang, after being named Player of the Month, congratulations to him, by the way, if he goes up there and he gives me a surprise bunt, I'm going to be a little upset. I'll be like, bro, you are literally hitting the cover off of baseballs right now. Hit the fucking son of a bitch over the fence, dude. Like, stop with the bunts right now.
Even this game, the cleanup spot, Bryce Terang batting in the cleanup spot.
Yeah,
and I will say,
bro.
Yelich does do it once in a while. Yelich has 27 home runs on the season. He still does it once in a while. He's got the speed for it. If you have teams kind of playing on the grass, essentially, and you only need to get it past the pitcher to have a hit, like, I'm not going to be mad at it. But
yeah,
in the 4th game against the Diamondbacks, Bryce Terang, while batting cleanup, had a 2-out triple to extend his hitting streak to 11. That was 109.5 miles an hour off the bat.
Yeah.
Terang might go 2020 if he has another month like he did.
Yeah, he's close.
He's got another month like he did. He might go 25-25. Damn.
Yeah.
I got my eyes set on Christian Yelich having a 30-20 season. That'd be sweet.
Yep. And 100 RBIs.
And 100 RBIs. He's very close. He's, 92?
Yeah, he's the 27 homers, and Terang has 17 homers, I believe, or 16.
Yep. 17.
So, yeah, they're both close, hopefully.
Yeah. So you covered Quintana pretty well, not having his best command. You brought up the 4 walks. All 4 of those walks scored.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes killer. I mean, we've seen Freddie Peralta kind of get up there with walks, stuff like that. That's when we talk about limiting traffic. If you can keep guys getting free passes, that's obviously where you want to be. This is a perfect example of why. Zach said Churio might go 2022. Maybe. Maybe.
Our team is good, by the way.
Yeah, the Brewers are great. I'd be happy to see Sal get to like 10-20. Like,
yeah,
you know. Sal's home run was 107 miles an hour off the bat. 1 batter, 1 run for the Brewers in this game. And the big takeaway, even the big picture, the afterthought, the hindsight aspect of it, it's good to see Sal Frelick's knee looking fine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just kind of a weird game. All of the scoring took place in the first 3 innings. And after that, it was good to have Tobias Myers and Easter McGee cover 5 and a third innings. Zach said 18 right now. It's amazing. He's definitely getting 2020.
Dude, how many weeks, bro? That's crazy.
Yeah, like 3 weeks. So moving into the Blue Jays game, the last game without Jackson Churio, the Blue Jays series game 1. Both teams went 1-2-3 in the first inning. Toronto did get a 2-out double, but Freddie's command, especially his fastball, looked way better to start this game on Friday than it did his last couple starts. Also, I think his changeup was moving. It was moving a lot better. He looked really good just in general. Freddie Peralta had 2 strikeouts versus the 8th and 9th hitters in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And then let's see, who was it that said it? Zach. It was Zach that said it. Fatigue and tight strike zones. Freddie Peralta strikes out the 8th and 9th hitters in this game, and then he gets squeezed. Gets squeezed against Springer, and then has one that gets away from him and hits Springer. Obviously, like they said, not intentional. Then has a walk, and then 2 on, 2 out for Vladdy, and kind of a playoff type at bat. Jake just said that the Phillies now have the 2nd best record in baseball. When the Brewers were in Toronto had the 2nd best record in baseball.
Yep. And they have the best home record.
And that's touche. So for this is kind of a playoff type at bat where you have Freddie Peralta versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with 2 men on and 2 out, and Freddie came up big to get a strikeout in that situation. They brought up on the broadcast a bunch of times that Vladdy's kind of going through a slump, but there's no time like getting a 3-run home run off of a Cy Young candidate to get out of your slump. He's perfectly capable of doing it.
Yeah.
So there's no point where you should be like, oh, he's in a slump, Freddie should strike him out. No, that's still Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's still capable of putting every single pitch in the seats. So the respect still needs to be there, even though a guy's in a slump. And it goes just as well for Brewers players, too. When Brewers players are in a slump, they still deserve their respect. And, it's just the way it is. You still need to respect players because you know what they're capable of. And just underestimating people, that's how you allow a 3-run home run in the playoffs.
Yep.
Sorry to pour a little salt on our own wounds there, but it's a perspective thing.
Yep.
The 4th and 5th innings for Freddie Peralta, brilliant. Retired 6 straight through the 4th and the 5th, 9 pitches, and then 11 pitches to get through it. Zach said Freddie's pitching great right now, and no matter what, he's an amazing hitter. Vlad is. He absolutely. Then you're not going to catch any disrespect from us on good hitters because we know what they're capable of, even if they're slumping. Like Pete Carl Armstrong is an example. He had a really rough month of August. Still doesn't mean I'm going to go throw him a 95-mile-an-hour meatball down the middle of the plate.
He's a professional baseball player, and Vladimir Guerrero didn't get a fucking paid $500 million for no reason.
Yeah.
He got that for a reason.
Yeah. Top of the 6th, Andres Monasterio had a leadoff home run and kind of just opened the floodgate. Was on a 3-2 pitch. He filled in very, very well for Joey Ortiz. We'll talk about that just kind of as we get into like the what's next aspect of it, of how we're viewing Monasterio and Ortiz. But Bryce Durang followed with a single to extend his hitting streak to 12. Brewers got a new pitcher in from the Blue Jays with 1 out for Christian Yelich, drew a walk. Andrew. We got Andrew and Andrew. That's going to mess me up. I know it is.
I know.
Andrew Vaughn went from a 1-2 to a 3-2 count. He ripped a single that made it 2-0. Sal Frelick struck out, and they brought in another new pitcher, Caleb Durbin. Caleb Durbin, I said it last week. We got to give him more credit. He had an 0-2 to a 2-2, fouled off a 100-mile-an-hour pitch, and then on the inside corner, got another 100-mile-an-hour pitch and hit it to right field. I don't know if I can really impress how hard that is to do, to not only just put a pitch that's close to your hands into right field, to pull your hands in and swing like that, and then also for 100 miles an hour on your hands. Like, to be able to have the process to go like this on a 100-mile-an-hour pitch and hit it to the opposite field, try touching a 100-mile-an-hour pitch with a wooden bat, much less going to the opposite field on the inside corner.
The British mind can't comprehend, bro.
Dude. things that would make an 1800 British person's head exploding, an opposite field hit on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the inside corner. Yeah, Zach, Freddie Freeman is an example, too. Like, I wouldn't...
Yes.
He's slumping, too, when the Brewers are facing the Dodgers, and the Brewers didn't take him lightly. He's still a big out to get because he's capable of going from a cold stretch to a hot stretch at any moment.
Yes.
So with that, that pushed it to right field. That made the game 3-0, and then we got Daddy Collins. Daddy Isaac Collins. The third baseman didn't catch a foul ball on the previous pitch before Isaac Collins ripped one into the corner to make this game 5-0. Freddie Peralta finished 6 innings scoreless, only needed 95 pitches to do so. So that's a brilliant, this is a gem of an outing for him. Only allowed 1 hit, only had 1 walk, did have the hit by pitch and the 8 strikeouts. Just a gem. He retired the final 10 batters that he faced. Freddie Peralta was fantastic on Friday. Top of the 7th, the Brewers got right back at it with 1 out, a Bryce Durang single, William Contreras double, Christian Yelich sharp ground ball. With the infield in, the contact play worked. They weren't able to get the out at home, and Bryce Durang scored, and that made 6-0. Andrew Vaughn with his 3rd straight hit, a guy who people were like, oh my God, is he coming back to earth? He was still hitting the ball hard. We brought that up.
Yep.
If you're hitting the ball hard, that means you're making good contact. That means you're seeing the ball well.
Yes.
I understand that there's outfielders out there. and they can make catches on line drives and stuff like that. But in the grand scheme, hitting the ball hard is what you want to do.
Yes.
So his third straight hit was a single to right field that made the game 7-0. Ashby came in relief of Freddie Peralta. He allowed a single and a hit by pitch, and then a 5-pitch walk to load the bases with no outs. And it's like, shit, we had a big old lead, and now we need to rein it in here. But thankfully, we were at a favorable position in the Blue Jays order. They're 7, 8, 9 hitters. Ashby did get behind 2-0, got a couple loose strikes, and then threw a beautiful curveball to get a looking strikeout. 0-1 on the next batter to a 3-1 count. And Jake, like you said, I think the fatigue is potentially part of what's causing the command issues because it's not just one guy. We've seen it with Mizorowski. We've seen it with Quintana. We've seen it with Ashby. We've seen it with Mears. We've seen it a little bit with Uribe and a little bit with McGill during this whole stretch. It's not just one guy kind of losing his command here and there. Did allow a single that made it to 7-2. Then got a double play, and that's pretty much all you needed. Shelby Miller pitched a scoreless bottom of the 8th, thanks in part to a diving Sal Frelick, and Abner Uribe pitched a leadoff single in the 9th, and then got a 1-2-3 inning. So, I mean, all in all, to beat the Toronto Blue Jays 7-2 in their building, I will take that every time. So, what did you have for thoughts on Friday?
Yeah, actually, the last thing you said is the first thing that I wrote down. I was like, to recoup after back-to-back losses at home, to go on the road versus a team with the best record in baseball in the American League. You're the best record in the MLB. You have the best road record. This is two Titans clashing, and you have your ace on the mound.
World Series matchup. I didn't even say that. Should have.
Yeah. Freddie Peralta was elite. And at this point of the year, I just take myself back to 2024 when Freddie Peralta was named the ace of this staff, and all the comments that were made about Freddie not being an ace, those guys look more than silly right now.
Pitcher of the month for August, by the way.
Yes, he had an absolute dominant month of August. He had 5 starts. He had a 4-0 record with a 0.32 ERA.
Damn.
That is disgusting, dude.
That's stupid.
Oh,
I gotta look up who he pitched against.
It's filthy. As you look that up, I'll continue my thoughts here. He had all of his pitches going. The fastball obviously was the feature pitch, as it mostly is with Freddie, but he had the curveball and the changeup going too, throwing everything for strikes. I was absolutely in love watching this game. I was like, this is prime Freddie Peralta. This is the Freddie that we're gonna need in a month from now. And Ashby, like you talked about, got roughed up a little bit, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Miller and Uribe were terrific. So to go to this, I said this was a 0-0 game through 5 when Mona started the 6th with a home run. Then the wheels kind of fell off for Toronto a little bit as the Brewers would score 5 in the inning. Then they would add 2 more in the 7th to go ahead 7-0. Miller and Uribe in the 8th and 9th to finish it up looked really, really good. They were 4 for 10 runners in scoring position, so literally 14 less opportunities in this one game than the previous 2 games, and they had 2 more hits with runners in scoring position. That's why that is an anomaly. That's not going to happen. You do not need to react like that to every single baseball game. Please stop doing that. Yep. They play 162 goddamn games. They're going to have a bad game every now and then.
Yeah.
Not every day at work that you work is a good day at work. Sometimes you make mistakes. It's going to happen. That is the correlation you have to give yourself in these situations. On top of that, I wanted to give Vaughn some love. He had a really good game. He had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, and he helped lead the Brewers to a 20-8 record to this point in the month of August. And at this point, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this for the next game. So I wrote it down for the next game. You want me do you have the game?
Well, I just want to jump in on Freddie. So the 5 games that he's pitched in August were at Atlanta, home against Pittsburgh, at Chicago, home against San Francisco, and at Toronto. And he threw 34 strikeouts in those games in 28 innings.
Cool.
He allowed 1 earned run, and it was to the Atlanta Braves.
What the hell?
So he has not allowed a run in his last 23 innings pitched.
Knock on wood. God damn.
That comes against 2 top 5 teams, a good offense, and a team who, for some fucking reason, the Pirates are 7-3 in their last 10 games.
Yeah.
So, like,
Makes
obviously,
no
you know,
sense.
we're not trying to claim that the Pirates are a good team or anything like that. But I mean, like you said, they're still professional baseball players.
Yeah, agreed.
So, yeah,
Wow,
those are the 5 teams that Freddie pitched against in August. 2 of them being top 5 teams.
wow. That makes his month sound even more disgusting. So good work by you. I'm gonna jump into game 2 of this series if you're okay with that. Um, Brewers won this one 4-1. But to give you the context on that, we had Quinn Priester on the mound. He gave us 6 innings, and oh my goodness, after he went 6 innings, I was like, "Thank you, baseball gods. This is just what the doctor ordered. We needed this so bad, dude. We needed 2 good starts out of our starters, man." And this looked like the Quinn Priester that we have gotten to know for the majority of the year. 8 ground balls, 6 fly balls, only 5 hits, 3 Ks. 16 of the 22 batters he faced, he got a first pitch strike. This is the Quinn Priester that we got to know.
That's a Quinn
And
Priester that I would trust in the playoffs.
yeah, and he looked really, really good. He looked comfortable up there. He was on the road, and he looked like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And after this game, I mean, I'm going to continue. I got some more stuff here, but after this game, this is the stat I was going to give the last game here. After this game, the Brewers won this game on the road. It got their 40th road win of the year. You know they have more road wins than the Colorado Rockies have total wins? And people are freaking out after 2 losses again.
The same Colorado Rockies that walked off the Cubs on Sunday.
Yes. Yes. The Brewers have more road wins than the Rockies have total wins. I don't know if anybody caught that little snippet, but that is insane. Got to give credit to Jared Koenig. He was dominant on Saturday as
Yeah.
well. He pitched 1 inning, had 3 Ks. He threw 15 total pitches. All 3 of his strikeouts came off the curveball. The curveball was doing curveball things. It was very good.
Yeah.
Nick Mears and Ashby combined for an inning. Mears got 2 outs. He gave up a hit and had a K. Ashby got 1 out. They look clean together. That was good to stack both of them together. That was very nicely done by Manager of the Year, the soon to be back-to-back Manager of the Year, Pat Murphy. Very nicely done right there. And Abner Uribe. I'm going to talk about some offense before I get to him. So in this game, there was 6 hits between both the teams through 5.5 innings. 6 hits. That's it. So you watched the game on Friday, you were like, "Oh God, this is gonna be like a 1-0 or 2-0 game," because through 5 innings in the game on Friday, there was no offense. Now the same thing is happening in this second game where there's nothing happening. 6 hits between both teams, lots of at bats. Well, then you get into the 6th where the Blue Jays did to the Brewers what the Brewers do to a lot of people, where they had a walk, a hit, and then they got a sac fly from Vlad and got a 1-0 lead. And they're leaning on that 1-0 lead. And then the Brewers did exactly what good teams do, and they responded in their half of the inning. In the top of the 7th, Yelly started the inning off with a double, and you're like, "Yep, that's the guy. That's the engine right there." When he gets on second base, I was like, "Oh yeah, we're fucking tied, this son of a bitch." Contreras gets a contact hit that moves Yelly over to first base, and then Frelick gets a contact hit, just making contact with the baseball, back-to-back times, both outs, ties the baseball game. That's exactly what good teams do.
Yeah, that's not
And
luck.
I'm sitting there on my couch, I'm watching this game, and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, we're going to win the goddamn World Series, bro." I literally felt that in Toronto after we tied the game in the 7th inning. And we
It's
did
just going to be
nothing.
like one of those things where you're like, "Oh, we finally got a run against the Brewers," and then they just do a bunch of shit like that, like the woodpecker stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Come on!" Like that's how it's got to feel. Like, come on! Like we finally got one, and then they just do that shit. They get one back.
Yeah.
Like that's how it's got to feel.
Yeah, that is why the Brewers have built up to the best record in baseball for a number of weeks now.
Yeah.
We should have been keeping count. Now that I'm thinking out loud, but you fast forward after Koenig and Mears and Ashby all to keep this game 1-1, right? You get to the 9th inning, and Abner Uribe has an inning to pitch here. Oh, sorry, I skipped over something really important. There's a young kid that had an at bat to start the 9th inning.
Yeah.
And Jackson Churio absolutely crushes a home run to opposite field. And I'm letting out a freaking Titan scream because I'm like, I am so happy to have Jackson Churio back.
Yeah.
After he was robbed in the first inning of a home run, he gets contact where you can't rob it over that wall. That one's a little bit harder to rob.
Yep.
And I'm like, yes, dude, it's 2-1. All right, Uribe, you just need to get 3 outs. That's exactly where my mindset goes. And then Christian Yelich is just like, hold my beer. I'm gonna go opposite field as well. I'm like, what? At this point, I start just hysterically laughing because I'm like, this team is freaking ridiculous, dude. They make me do this at least twice a week where they're like, do something. It's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be good like that all the time.
They
And,
turned
they
a
ended
1
up,
pitchers duel into a pretty comfortable feeling 3-1 lead.
yeah. And both Oppo tacos, so love that. Frelick gets a walk. Contreras makes contact again and hits him over. And then Isaac Collins, new dad, gets another RBI double, making the lead 4-1. And at this point, I'm just like, yeah, we won this game.
On an 0-2 pitch, that was. Isaac Collins' double was on an 0-2 pitch.
On an 0-2 pitch. Dude, if Isaac Collins has proved anything, the guy can swing a goddamn baseball bat.
Yeah.
They leave no doubt that Isaac Collins can swing a baseball bat.
Yeah.
But getting to Abner Uribe, his first batter that he has to face is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the 9th inning. And he ends up striking out Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And you're like, oh shit, we are so back department. And he ends up giving up a single, but then gets Kirk to ground into a double play. And all is right in Brewers Nation as the Brewers take the first 2 games of this series. Unbelievably well done by the Milwaukee Brewers. Jackson Chourio, though, I do not want people to look at this moment as like something to be expected because of how talented he is. For that young kid to come up in that moment, like, think of the magnitude of everything that is coming up to this moment.
Yeah.
Records,
Literally first game back.
It's literally first game back. Records, road game, all this stuff. Oh, people are chattering. The Cubs are breathing down their neck. They're going to lose the 1 seed, blah, 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 all this stuff. And Jackson Chourio is just like, you thought, correct. Hell yeah, dude. I was juiced up on Saturday after that. So what do you got, buddy?
It's the situation where it's like, oh, is this the part of the schedule where the Brewers are supposed to slow down and then they're still just winning series on the road against the second best team in baseball?
Right.
So want to address a couple things. One, Chris pointed out that happy birthday, Jake, and thanks for keeping us entertained. Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you. Zach pointed out the Brewers' home and road records and compared them to the 2015 Royals. Also mentioned the 2021 Braves earlier. 2021 Braves were kind of top heavy in their lineup. I compared the Brewers closer to the 1982 Cardinals. That team, their lineup top to bottom was a pain in the ass. Everybody on their roster was a pain in the ass.
Okay.
And then being built on speed, that's essentially what the Cardinals were back in the 80s. So on Saturday, you mentioned Chourio being robbed. The Blue Jays got second and third with 1 out for the top of the order in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Quinn Priester gets Springer to pop up on a 3-2 pitch after falling behind 3-0. A lot of these, Zach said happy birthday as well. A lot of these games that I watched over the weekend, I was keeping really close eye on pitch counts and how guys were working them as pitchers and hitters. So for Quinn Priester to go 3-0 on the leadoff hitter, George Springer, is one of the better hitters in baseball. To get back to 3-2, get him to pop up, that's a big out. After that, Barger, their swing away home run versus strikeout guy, hit a hot shot up the middle. Andre Monasterio picked it, threw him out. That's a fantastic play by Andre Monasterio. Top of the 4th, we didn't even mention this. Jackson Chourio robbed of a home run in the 1st, hit a home run in the 9th. Also hit a 114-mile-an-hour exit velocity single. Got to second on a wild pitch. So just hitting bombs, just raking the ball, smashing the baseball after not hitting well in AAA, which again nobody should care about because it's really just about reps at that point and being back into baseball conditioning. Gets back up, just starts ripping the cover off the ball. So Jackson Chourio is good to go. That extra rest that he was able to get while the Brewers were just humping along and just winning all their games, that did him well, it seems. Quinn Priester just absolutely dealing through 5 innings. He had an 8-pitch 4th inning, allowed a 1-out single in the 5th, got a ground ball double play to end it. Top of the 6th, allowed another infield single. Quinn Priester got a double play ball, but Bryce Terang missed the throw to first base. Springer got the second on it. A single got him to third, and then first and third with 1 out. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a sac fly. If that double play is turned, that sac fly could potentially have ended the inning, but it did get the Blue Jays a 1-0 lead. But Quinn Priester then facing Bo Bichette, who I know they mentioned it on the broadcast several times over the weekend, leads Major League Baseball in hits. Quinn Priester got him to strike out to end the 6th inning, had 0 earned runs allowed, had just the 1 unearned run. You brought up the 7th inning, the Brewers manufacturing a run to get back in it, and you brought up Jared Koenig, and I'm glad you said that he pitched really well, because I've been fairly critical of Jared Koenig, a little hesitant on fully trusting him, but this was his best outing in a while. 3 strikeouts. His breaking ball was fantastic. It played really well off of his curveball. That was, like I said, one of the best outings that he's had in a while.
Yeah.
Taylor, welcome back. Top of the 9th, you covered all the runs there as well. And what I wanted to bring up, with that 3-run inning, the back-to-back homers, the Sal Frelick walk and the Isaac Collins double, that came versus Jeff Hoffman, who is 5th in Major League Baseball in saves and 13th in strikeouts by relievers.
That's a good point.
So we're talking, we keep bringing up how good the teams the Brewers are facing. And again, this is the part of the schedule where they're supposed to slow down and come back to earth. And the Brewers put a 3-run inning on one of the better closers in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And you brought up Abner Uribe, a very good 9th inning for him as well.
Yes, sir.
Going into Sunday, not the most ideal game. Let me give you let's have you give your thoughts on Sunday's game.
All right.
Taylor said you look related to Koenig, not gonna lie. I'm a white dude. I'm a tall white dude with facial hair. I mean, hey, if you're gonna say that I look like an MLB pitcher, I'm not gonna get offended by that. I've previously been compared to Steven Strasburg, so I'll take that too.
Hey, take that too. So most of my notes are gonna be talking about Woody, just so we're on the same page. Woody, 4 1/3, 10 hits, 5 earned runs, the 2 walks or 3 Ks. Before I get into that stuff, nice by William Contreras, getting 3 RBIs, getting him up to 69 for the year. Nice. Yeah. Nicely done. Terang, very close. Got to 68 on this day. We almost had a double nice. Talking about the Blue Jays did win this game 8-4. And they are 54-9. The Blue Jays are when they score at least 5 runs. So almost like one of those Brewer stats. Don't let them get to 5 runs because the Blue Jays are pretty goddamn good in those situations.
Wow.
That's almost like the Brewers' 4-run stat, which is also equally impressive. Tobias Myers. We got to talk about Tobias Myers. I was on him a little bit last week. I didn't mean to be like that heavy on there, but as a guy who was a really good starter for us last year, we need him to have outings like this where he goes 2 2/3, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, eat some innings, give us some scoreless baseball. This is what we need from you. This is your value to this team in 2025. 2024 was a different story. He was tremendous. He was good.
He might be even more necessary, even in shorter stints now with Shelby Miller's injury.
Yeah,
because
honestly.
The Brewers, we're getting DL Hall and Robert Gosser back soon. And obviously we have Ashby in the bullpen and Koenig in the bullpen. You look at it, that's why Grant Anderson is still around. There's not a ton of righties in the Brewers bullpen right now. Even when McGill is back, you're looking at McGill, Uribe, and Tobias Myers. Obviously Nick Mears is in there as well, but you're looking at a handful of guys like that's, Tobias Myers is going to be necessary in September to pitch as a righty out of the bullpen.
Yeah, that's a very good point to bring up. He was really good on this day. Also, welcome back to Big Z, who pitched a scoreless inning in this one. So really good to get him going as well. Talking about Woodruff, right? So I was looking on Baseball Savant, trying to find out, what's going on with Woodruff, right? Why has he been faltering 2 of his last 3 starts? And I think it's the location of his fastball and his cutter. They're a little bit up, catching a little bit too much to the plate right now. The velocity's down just a tick. Now, he wasn't exactly blowing guys away with 94 because that's, let's call it what it is. That's not crazy anymore. Guys are throwing 98, 99, 102.
It's what you do off of it that makes it look faster.
Yeah.
Also, just want to throw this out there. The cutter is a new pitch for him as well. That's this year. That's a new thing he learned while he was dealing with a shoulder injury.
Yes. So I was looking and I was studying and I was looking at, expected batting averages and ground ball percentage and fastball or fly ball percentages. And I got down to his changeup, right? And his changeup is easily his most effective pitch so far in 2025, a run value of +8. So he needs to start throwing his changeup more. He needs to start working his changeup off of his cutter and his fastball because his changeup command is elite. He's throwing it in the spots that he wants to throw it. The spin rate on it is really, really good. And then I was looking at arm angle. His arm angle on his four seam and his cutter is at 45 degrees. The changeup is at 41 degrees. So the thing about baseball that's funny is that there's a lot of niche things in there, right? Just a little drop in degrees, a little bit off of the miles per hour, and it makes that changeup so much better.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit better location on a couple fastballs and cutters could be the absolute biggest change in the world for Woodruff. And that's how small the margins are.
When he was rolling along, that's what was happening. He was painting the corners with his fastballs and then getting dudes to swing and miss at his changeup.
Yep. So he's just been catching a little bit too much of the plate. Get command of that fastball and that cutter again. Start working in that changeup off of those things, and I have full confidence that Woodruff is going to figure it out. Now, I do think that maybe his arm is getting a little bit fatigued. So, do they push back a start like they did for Priester? They pushed Priester from Thursday to a Saturday, give him a couple extra days off. Yep. I think that's something that could be a conversation to be had with Woodruff. And if they do that and he gets the velocity, back up a tick or two, gets the command back, that's really what I'm worried about. I don't care about the velocity as much as the command. Give me the command, push him back a few days. I think that's the solution for Brandon Woodruff. But facing a really good Blue Jays team who is trying to avoid a sweep at home, it is what it is.
Priester brought up the difference between pitching and Thursday from Saturday was like 80 to 90% to 100%. Like that was a big deal. Just 2 days.
Yep.
A 2-day difference was a big deal for Priester. So looking at Sunday, I mean, the stuff with Woodruff, I mean, we can I'm kind of okay just crumpling it up and tossing it up. Like we're really at the point where this is a game 18 in 17 days. That's where we're at with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to give a little bit of credit to the Brewers offense. Top of the first inning, Jackson Chourio beat out a ground ball for an infield single. Christian Yelich worked along at bat. Chourio ran on a 3-2 pitch, and Christian Yelich grounded out. Chourio got to second. Now, I just want to preface this by saying, even if Chourio hadn't been running, you're probably still not doubling up Christian Yelich. But the next at bat, William Contreras followed up with a first pitch 2-run home run. So that's the hustle is still important, and obviously it leads to more runs. So the hustle, the aggressiveness, the kind of hit and run, that stuff all helps you score more. That's all valid and stuff that we should talk about. The defense, this is where I'm like, all right, this is where we just need a fucking day off.
Yeah.
Bottom of the first inning, Woodruff was 0-2 on Springer. 4 pitches later, he hit him. Got a 3-pitch strikeout of the second batter. Vladimir Guerrero followed up by grounding a ball to Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Monasterio and Bryce Terang kind of ran into each other at second base. The throw goes into left field. That is Andrew Monasterio's ball. As the shortstop coming over instead of Bryce Terang running towards second base, that's Andrew Monasterio's ball. And that's where I kind of felt like, all right, we need Joey Ortiz back. He's got more range than Monasterio, and Monasterio, we love him. You're probably not going to find people that love Andrew Monasterio much more than we do. But
yeah, they work for the Brewers. That's it.
And that's really, people that probably get to interact with him every day and see how awesome of a person he probably is. But Joey Ortiz is a better defensive shortstop. I don't think it's really Andrew Monasterio would probably tell you that.
Probably.
But this is kind of where I'm like, all right, yeah, we need Joey Ortiz back, because Bryce Terang seeing Joey Ortiz would probably be like, oh, yep, you got this. And Joey Ortiz would also probably call Bryce Terang off in that situation. So as the acting shortstop, I would have liked to see Andrew Monasterio take a little bit of ownership of that one and be like, hey, I got it. As the shortstop coming towards the play back to first base, which would have been where you were trying to go with that ball.
Yep.
Now, I saw a lot of criticism with the Brewers base running. So we get to the top of the third. Bryce Durang hits his 10th home run of August by basically just putting the ball up into the jet stream, letting it carry out to left field. Jackson Chourio hit a sunball double, just hit the ball up into the sun, and it came down for a double. Christian Yelich hit a deep fly ball that Jackson Chourio did not tag up on. Now, Jackson Chourio is at second base, didn't tag up to third. That's fine. I'm fine with that because, I mean, I'm throwing out a random number, but I feel like 80% of singles outside of infield singles, Jackson Chourio is going to score from second anyways.
Yeah,
so I'm not like,
fair.
oh, Jackson Churrio's not hustling because he didn't tag up on that. I don't care. Jackson Chourio is going to score on almost every single that leaves the infield. So I'm not super worried about it. Then later that inning, he does score on a single from William Contreras, who hit one off the wall, kind of just bounced right directly to the right fielder, so he wasn't able to get to second base. That did tie the game at the time, and Contreras had 3 out of the 4 RBI. Later in that inning, William Contreras gets tagged out, trying to tag on a fly ball. Now, I did just say that it's fine that Chourio didn't tag, and now we're getting into a point where Contreras does tag, and he gets thrown out at third base.
Yeah.
Put your tinfoil hat on real quick. So let's just say tinfoil hat is on. Let's just say this is a potential World Series matchup. What if that was on purpose to try to test the center fielder to see how accurate, how good of a throw he's going to make on a potential high-pressure thing like that?
That's not too far-fetched, in my opinion.
Brewers, to this point, had 85 wins. Nobody else was at 80. You maybe just take a little bit of a risk. Say we've already won 2 out of 3 in Toronto. Fuck it.
I can see it.
It's a little bit harder to accept when Murphy talked about it after the game and he seemed kind of pissed, but like that's why I said tinfoil hat on that one. But just a hypothetical thing out there.
Yes.
Andre Monasterio extended his hitting streak to 11 in the 4th inning. Bryce Durang singled him over to third base. They tried the double steal. This is another Andre Monasterio thing, and I'm not dogging him for it. It's just we've credited him so much for being locked in. On the double steal, the middle infielder came and cut the throw off before it got to second base and threw Andre Monasterio out at home. And my only thing with that is Monasterio just has to leave earlier. He's got to leave earlier. As soon as Turang goes, you got to take a couple extra steps off, and then as soon as the throw goes, you got to go. It seemed like he kind of took an extra dance back and forth, which made it easy for the middle infielder to cut the ball off and throw home and get Andre Monasterio at home.
That was when Murphy got fucking pissed.
Yeah. Because you got to go. If you're running that play, if the throw goes, you have to go.
There's no second guessing. You go.
Yeah. Zach said it's an unfamiliar opponent too, which is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it for the Brewers. I mean, they had some chances later on in the game. Just it is what it is. That's pretty much it. I mean, you lose the rubber match, the third game of the series in Toronto after you had already won the series. I mean, you're playing with house money at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So last game of 19 and 18, we get to Monday's game on Labor Day. Started out pretty good. I mean, Mizorowski had 20 pitch first inning. Did start with an 8-pitch at bat against Trey Turner. He's a good batter. It did end in a strikeout. It's easier to accept those long at bats when they go in your favor. Bottom of the first inning, Bryce Durang got down 0-2 really quick, worked back to 2-2, and then hit his 17th home run to lead off the game with another home run. Made it 1-0. Contreras did a nice job turning and pulling a pitch, a breaking ball down the left field line for a double. Christian Yelich drew a 5-pitch walk. Jake Bowers had a deep fly out. Blake Perkins had a long at bat, had a 3-2 pitch, hit a double to right field. A head start helped Christian Yelich score from first base. So getting into that 3-2 count, it gave Christian Yelich a head start with 2 outs, and it helped Christian Yelich score from first. And even Bill Schrader, you can tell he's up in the booth, and he's like, I love watching Christian Yelich run because he's the best in baseball.
Yeah.
Caleb Durbin in the bottom of the second inning makes 2 for 2 in leadoff innings with home runs, and it was an absolute tank. It was a no-doubter into the second deck, and the vibes are pretty good. The Brewers were up 5-1 at one point. Obviously ended up losing 10-8. Both of those home runs by Terang and Durbin were both home runs in all 30 ballparks, so you love to see that. But other than that, I mean, we have basically just the one inning where Mizorowski just kind of loses it. The leadoff batter in the top of the fifth drew a walk, a contact swing, got a fly ball to the warning track. Sorry, that was the previous inning. Followed by a single, got a ground ball for an out, and then an opposite field triple for Trey Turner made it 5-3, and Mizorowski was done. That was followed by a single, got a ground ball for an out. Sorry, that was followed by Aaron Ashby, who got a 3-2 strikeout of Schwarber and got Harper to ground out. I don't know if we need to go so far as to have Mizorowski coming out of the bullpen, something that I've seen a lot of people kind of claiming that they should be doing. But maybe it's, you piggyback him. As the Brewers get healthier, as the Brewers get closer to the end of the season, maybe you pair him with an Ashby, with a DL Hall, with a Robert Gosser, and you say, okay, both of you are going to pitch 3 innings as our, quote, starter. So the 2 of you are going to be our starter. Zach said a young pitcher figuring out how to slow things down after a bad pitch or 2 in an inning. I mean, experience is what he needs as far as the major leagues are concerned. I mean, he's got all the stuff. He just needs to hone his command and get more experience. Mm-hmm. The bullpen, again, I mean, we're at this 19 in 18 days. Top of the 8th, Shelby Miller allowed a broken bat single and a double that went over Jackson Chourio and left. That made it 7-6 Phillies, and then add injury to insult after that. Shelby Miller was hurt. He said he felt a pop, and we talked about it at the top of the show that he's unfortunately done for the rest of the season. Big Z came in, inherited a 2-2 count, allowed a walk to the number 7 hitter, got the number 8 hitter to ground out a double play, and then the number 9 hitter hit a 1-2 double to make it 8-6 Phillies. Then the Brewers in the bottom of the 8th, they just don't go away. All with 2 outs. Jackson Chourio walk, Christian Yelich walk, Isaac Collins pinch hit, first pitch single, past the shortstop, made it 8-8. I mean, the woodpecker mentality of it is fantastic. And we have to talk about the annoying inning. So Schwarber leads off, gets a strike, gets a walk. Uribe strikes out Harper, gets a walk on a check swing, and this is to Real Muto, and it's like, okay. The one to Harper, I was fine with being a check swing, being a ball, that was fine. Mm-hmm. But the one to Real Muto where the bat clearly crosses home plate, and it's unfortunately such a discretionary call in umpiring these days that there's no set rule on what classifies a swing. Some guys will be if the ball passes home plate. Some guys will say if it's parallel to the front of the plate. Some corner umpires will call it if they can see the cap of the bat at the end of the bat. There's so many different ways that it's interpreted that it's just unfortunately something that Major League Baseball is going to have to step in on because go ahead.
It's literally like the catch rule in football, bro. There was no clear verbiage on what a catch was for like 10, 12 years, bro. And then the NFL made a rule, and now it's a little bit better.
My opinion is if you have gone so far that the bat has passed your entire body, your hands are behind the bat, your body is behind the bat is in front of home plate, how do you say that that's not a swing? I mean, just because you didn't follow through on it. So I think the easiest way to do it is to have the Hawkeye system above. If the bat crosses the front of the plate, it's a swing. It's a swing. That's the easiest way. You take out the human error aspect of it and the interpretation, the individual discretion, because it cost the Brewers a Monday game in September. on their 19th game in the 18th day in a row. But it's going to happen in a playoff game, and then it's going to be an uproar. The pass interference being reviewable in the NFL, the Saints and Rams had a big issue with it, and now it's reviewable. So that's going to happen in a playoff game, and I'm hoping it's the Brewers that don't get screwed by it, but they did in this game. So unfortunately, that's how Monday's game ended, and you can give your thoughts on it, but there's going to have to be something done about it in the near future, just like the balls and strikes. Then that's the home plate umpire could have called it also. It's just one of those things it's not defined. So everybody can be like, I didn't think he swung based on my perception of what I call a swing.
Yeah. So I'll give you like my 2-3 thoughts, and then I'll talk about that. So first of all, when you think about the Philadelphia Phillies, the two people that you think aren't going to beat you are Brandon Marsh and Harrison Bader, and that's literally what happened. They went combined 7 for 10, had 4 runs and 4 RBIs. Those are not the two players that you game plan beating you when Philadelphia comes down. It's a Harper or...
I mean, those are the guys that you're daring to beat you in those situations. So I get where Jake's coming from on that. You're going to be kind of daring your opponent's not best players to beat you. Also, I didn't mention this when discussing it, but Pat Murphy did get tossed for arguing that check swing. Pat Murphy was arguing that there was 2 of them, but I was really only worried about Real Muto. So, thought Jake was good. But like I said, I was really only worried about the one to Real Muto because that was the one that was egregious in my opinion. So I'll give Jake a second to see if he's going to be able to get his act together here. But after Pat Murphy was tossed, there was a single and then a bloop single, and that made it 10-8 Phillies, which ended up being the final score. So, Jake, you can give me your last couple thoughts if you're able to. Otherwise, we'll bring Mike in. All right, we're just looking at Jake's awkward face. All right. The other thing that I'll throw out there is the Brewers, their next couple games, 2 more against the Phillies, 3 at the Pirates, and then 3 at the Rangers. So Jake and I are going to have 6 Milwaukee Brewer games to discuss next week. So Jake can give me his last couple thoughts on the Phillies game, and then we'll move on to Badgers football.
Yeah, apologies. I do my podcast off my phone now, and my kids don't listen to what Wednesday is. So, anyways, my last thoughts that I have in this game, and the only problem I have with the situation, not just like, that I should have been called a strike, and he should have struck out. The biggest problem I have is, the home plate umpire, when he goes like this and gives the right of way to the first base umpire to call the play, and then he calls it, a walk. And Murphy comes out there to have a problem with the guy who made the incorrect call.
I know where you're going with this.
My only problem is the home plate umpire coming in to throw gasoline on the fire. What the dog? If you wanted to smoke, you could have called the play yourself, dog.
Yep.
That is right. My gripe.
Yep.
I'm sitting there, I'm seeing this, and I'm just like, why is he getting involved?
That's 100% valid.
That is what I thought immediately when that happened. So, yeah.
Ricky Weeks got pissed after that too. It's like,
yeah.
And Ricky Weeks is probably saying the same thing that you just said. He's probably saying, "Look, why are you even in here? If you wanted to be involved, you could have made the call at the plate.
You honestly, as a man, when there's 2 dudes, just arguing, going at it, I'm just gonna leave that alone because if I get involved, it's only going to escalate the situation to a bigger problem.
And walking away.
And Murphy, he was going to go out there. I'm so happy that he got tossed. He needed to get tossed in that situation. He had to stick up for his team. He had to stick up for, his team getting screwed over basically in that situation. Yep. Dude, you gotta let them hash it out at that point. Murphy was going to say what he got to say. He's got to get his money's worth. We know how this works. It's an unwritten rule in baseball. You throw me out, okay, I'm getting my money's worth now. I am going to walk away. I'm going to say what I got to say. You might not like what I got to say, but I don't like the goddamn call you just made.
Yeah.
That's where it ends. The home plate umpire coming in, no, ridiculous to me.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's my only thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's completely valid. So like I mentioned, we'll have 8 Brewers games to discuss between now and next Wednesday. So anything else you wanted to say on the Brewers?
Nah, man. Good off day. Let's come back. Let's win these next 2 games versus the Phillies. Let's calm everybody down a little bit, lock up that 1 seed, and then we'll be good to go. It's good to see Mikey with the W on his chest. Let's go, my boy. Let's go.
All right.
You gay. Happy birthday.
Yeah, we get
Thank
to
you, sir.
change the tune. Jake gets
Yes,
another
sir.
happy birthday wish. Change the tune to football. The NFL starts tomorrow night, but the Badgers got to be the first Thursday night football game. Opening on a Thursday night feels kind of weird for college, but I was all right with it. So we're going to start. Jake is covering the offensive line and the defensive line and special teams when it's necessary. Mike is covering the running game and the secondary, and I am covering the passing game and linebackers. So we're going to start. We're just going to kind of go through it with offensive line, then run game, then pass game, then defensive line, linebacker, secondary, kind of as it makes sense as far as covering the recaps go. That's how we're covering them. So Jake is discussing the O-line. What did you take away from last Thursday, the Badgers opener?
All right. So Mike and I, Tyler has added some things at times, but we have really talked about the depth of this O-line and how it's not great. And the starters look to be pretty good, right? So you look at a guy like Emerson Mandel. He gave up 0 sacks, 1 hit, and 3 hurries. Joe Brunner, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 2 hurries. Joe Brunner is one of the mainstays on this team, probably going to get drafted to the NFL. He's a very good player. Another guy who's probably going to get drafted, Riley Mallman, had a good game, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 1 hurry, so he was absolutely stout in this one. Jake Renfro, he has a chance to be an undrafted free agent, in my opinion, just because of his injury history, but he is a pretty good player. Jake
Centers
Renfro,
have a really kind of tough time getting drafted, too.
they do. He gave up 1 sack, 0 hits, and 0 hurries, so he was pretty good. He got on 1 play. But other than that, he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty decent in the run game. But Davis Heinzen, buddy, get your fucking ass in gear here.
I don't know if he's starting on Saturday.
If he starts on Saturday, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to talk a lot of shit about Middle Tennessee because they fucking suck. I'm sorry if people don't like that language, but they are terrible.
Yeah.
They might be the worst team in the FBS from what I watched.
Very
what
possible.
They did last week versus a team called the Governors. I get beat up by Governors too, but it ain't that bad. David Heinzen, 2 sacks, 2 hits, 1 hurry. I wrote rough day. I could have wrote a lot of things.
Literally a rough day from the jump, and he got benched late in the game.
Yes. I did write down, I know, somebody else is going to cover tight ends, but I did write down that I thought the tight ends were really, really good, especially in the run blocking game. I thought they were both elite. Grant Steck was freaking awesome in the run game. I was paying attention to him a ton. But outside of Heinzen, this offensive line looks to be as good as advertised from the starters. We got to get that left tackle figured out here, but we get that figured out. The Badgers have a chance, especially with the kind of good news that came from Billy Edwards Jr. Could have been a lot worse. It kind of felt like a Jordan Love situation to me from last year where we were like, oh man, not the first game, not right away. And I know that we have different feelings because we have had multiple seasons now of Badgers quarterbacks going down right away. But to get the news that like he's week to week is like, okay, I feel pretty good about that. At least he's not out for the season, with a freaking broken kneecap or something.
Or an ACL injury like last year.
Or ACL. So when I saw the non-contact, I was a little worried. And then seeing how the left tackle was playing, I was double little worried. And I guess we'll see how it goes, but they got to figure out that left tackle spot. Obviously one of the premier spots in football. But other than that, like I said, they were good, especially in the run game. They were this close to breaking off a big old 50-yarder for my boy Dylan Jones. But I handed off to Mike for the run game. You like that?
Hey, his time. Don't you worry. His time's coming. His time's coming, Jake. Just to hop right into running backs. Did I mention how much I love this running back room? When I think after this first week, I think the first thing that sticks out is that these boys run hard. Starting with Dylan Jones, 14 carries, 73 yards, 3 catches, 8 yards. Most of those yards came from yards after contact too. I'd say about 3/4 of it. So, 5.2 yards per carry. So there's something to look forward to. And it wasn't even just Dylan Jones. It was Darion Dupree. A majority of his yards also came after yards or after the catcher, after getting yards after contact. Sorry.
Same thing for Cade Giacomelli.
Yeah, exactly. Darian Dupree, 8 carries, 41 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, so pretty similar to Dylan Jones. 28 snaps. Dylan Jones got 31 snaps. Cade Giacomelli, 23 snaps, 5 carries, 20 yards. Unfortunately, he couldn't sneak in on that touchdown in the second half.
Yeah, so close.
I really wanted to applaud Yak, though. I called it in our group chat on Thursday. He made a huge block for Tyrell Henry on that jet sweep to help us pick up a first down. It was like a 5-yard run. It was a 3rd and 4. Yak just absolutely destroyed a dude to get that first down for us. But
how do you feel about us addressing Cade Giacomelli in the same way that we addressed Carter Gilmore all basketball season last year?
I mean, I'm not going to be opposed to it. You know what I mean? He's going to be. You're going to see Yak involved, not even just on offense. I think we're going to see him on special teams too at some point, helping out here and there. We are going to see a lot of
dirty work over the years that I feel like he's just earned playing time, and you just can't not put him on the field at times.
Yeah, I mean Grimes is making it a point too. I mean, look, 31, 28, 23 snaps. That's pretty damn good distribution.
Yeah, I'll take that every game.
43 carries, $165 as a whole. Oh yeah, and I forgot. Good old Jackson Aker. Badger fans, welcome back. We got the fullback dive in town. Fullback dive, 1 carry for 3 yards. Picked up a first down. So I'll end on that note. But no, I honestly love this running back room. Jackson Aker going to be a part of it too. I expect big things with this group. My expectations are going up a little bit after watching this first week. And that was even with not even busting one for 50 yards.
Yeah, they're going to this week.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
Luke Fickell was very complimentary of Jackson Aker as well, saying that he's one of the most versatile players in college football.
Yeah.
So Luke Fickell was very complimentary of Jackson Aker. Looking at the passing game, so 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and the starting QB is already hurt, the 3rd year in a row. It's why they brought in 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. That's why they brought. It's unfortunate. It feels like a curse at this point with the Luke Fickell era that we've gone from Tanner Mordecai to Braden Locke and from Tyler Van Dyke to Braden Locke. But that's why they brought in 2 guys that started last year. That's why they brought in Billy Edwards and Danny O'Neill. Yep, was because they're like, all right, we're not doing this we're going to a backup. This was more of like a starter and waiting kind of situation. The guy that has starting experience, not just put in for an injured starter backup. So I will say, going to the quote backup, Danny O'Neill felt much better than seeing Braden Locke the last 2 years. Now it's a 2/3 of a game sample size, but if we kind of break it down a little bit, Jake and I are usually bad news first kind of people. So what I will say is Danny O'Neill holds the ball a little bit too long at times. There's some times where you just got to get rid of it, take your check down, throw the ball out of bounds. That's part of it. That's where Jake brings up the sacks from the offensive line. Some of that is Danny O'Neill's just got to get rid of the ball when he's got to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, true.
Now, going to the good news. The second drive of the third quarter were all of Danny O'Neill's best players. The fake wide receiver handoff to keeper for 17 yards.
That was sick.
A good quick pass to Eugene Hilton, giving him time to cut up field, followed by a beautiful back shoulder throw to Grant Steck. Both of those were first career catches for Hilton and Steck, and then a touchdown to Vinny Anthony. Just a very nicely done, taking advantage of good field position drive. That drive was like, all right, yep, this feels much better than Braden Locke. This feels like a guy who's got starting experience and was much more ready than Braden Locke was. Overall, Danny O'Neill finished 12 of 19, 63.2% for 120 yards, a touchdown, an interception, and also a rushing touchdown. So pretty solid game from Danny O'Neill. Obviously, the interceptions you don't want, but they're going to happen from time to time. So going to the defensive side of the ball, starting at the front, Jake, what did you take away from the Badgers defensive line?
I think that everything that we read in the offseason that the Badgers defensive line is going to be good is 100% true, because this defense literally gave up 0 points, and it started up front. And you talk all the time. This is just like basic football 101. Anybody who loves football, if you're a good football team, you know that it starts up front, offensive line, defensive line. It is dramatically different in college football. If you do not have an offensive line and defensive line, you are shit. Point blank, period. I'm not gonna mince words right now. Look at the Badgers last year. Their defensive line was terrible.
Yeah.
And the Badgers were terrible in a lot of games. If they had a little bit more production on the defensive line last year, they're beating Oregon, they're beating USC, and they're beating Penn State. They're probably beating Minnesota too. I'm just gonna call it what it is. Iowa, they beat the shit out of us. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win that game. They beat our ass. But talking about this game specifically, some guys to talk about. Got to talk about Rieger. Am I saying his name right? Is it Rieger?
I put him in my notes too.
Rieger,
I
don't even know.
DN.
Yeah.
So
okay,
talk about him. I'll talk about him more.
Talk
he
about
deserves it.
I don't want to be like disrespectful and say somebody's name wrong. That always makes me feel bad, even though I mess up a lot of names. I don't want to do that on purpose. Rieger, that guy lives in the damn backfield, bro. Holy cow! They need to start charging this guy rent because he's back there all damn day.
I just put in my notes that he's around the ball a lot.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Against the run, he had 2 tackles and an assist. Peterson had 1 sack in a hurry, and against the run, he had a tackle. Cheeks, who was a transfer last year, had 3 hurries and 2 tackles in the run game. Fearberry had 2 tackles in the run game. Suggs had a hurry. Lane had 2 hurries and an assisted tackle in the run game. Parker Peterson had a hit and an assist in the run game. And Walker, the transfer this year, had a hurry. I just named like 9 guys.
Yeah.
We played like 5 guys last year total. I just named 9 guys who contributed in week 1 of 2025. This defense is going to be really good.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the defense that they thought they were getting 2 years ago. We didn't have the depth up front. The linebackers were not as quick as they are now. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, but Christian Alego and Tekka Curtis are really freaking good, and they make a lot of things look really easy. But Rieger is that guy's getting drafted if he stays healthy, bro. Point blank, period. 100%. That guy is a 4th-round pick.
4 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a half a sack, and just constantly around the ball. Around the ball.
He's so good.
And I'm totally fine with it if we overlap with him a bunch because, like I said, he's kind of like a outside linebacker / D end. If we double up on Rieger, I'm okay with it. He deserves it with how well he played.
I mean, if we double up on him, that just means that he's doing good things, and the Badgers probably won a football game.
That's just more emphasis for something that deserves the emphasis.
Yes, sir.
In the linebackers, you mentioned Allegro and Cheeks. Cheeks, again, is kind of another one of those hybrid guys. But seeing Allegro and Cheeks, they worked really well in tandem. There were back-to-back Miami possessions in the second half. Miami's second possession, they had a 3rd and 5. Cheeks got a pressure, flushed the quarterback, and Allegro finished the sack. The next possession, a 3rd and 6, Christian Allegro had a pressure. The quarterback scrambled, and Cheeks tackled him for a 4-yard gain on 3rd and 6 and forced another punt. So those two kind of just working in tandem on back-to-back possessions was something that I noticed, in addition to Mason Rieger, just around the ball constantly. And it is interesting to see Tackett Curtis getting the starting nod alongside Allegro in the linebacking room. So very excited to see him on the field more, but Christian Allegro is the man.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what did you take away from the secondary?
I thought the whole secondary had a very aggressive approach during this game. That's also credit to not just the guys out there, but I think Coach Tressel as well, especially with some of the packages that he called. The first one that sticks out to me was with Kamir Latimer. He had a decent game. He did have one missed tackle. It would have been a sack if he would have got that to Quan Finn. But I want to credit Tressel with that play call. That was pretty
good call.
Dialing that up. And he had and I think Kamir Latimer is a guy that we should definitely keep an eye on. I mean, he had a very, very nice punch out. It was as the whistle blew. But I think he's got the ability to at least make a big impact in creating those chance for turnovers, especially that's an emphasis that we're trying to put in this year in comparison to last year. So that's definitely a guy that I'm keeping an eye on for sure. I'm going to applaud Emilio Agard as well. He did not have a tackle, but he did have a big stop, one big pass deflection. There's a tight end who ran a nice little hitch route, which led to an incomplete pass, but he absolutely decked the shit out of him. This dude is like 5. Emilio Agard's like 5'10", 5'11". He absolutely hit him right, blew his ass up, hit him in the chest, incomplete pass. That was arguably the hit of the night, really. That stopped the drive basically. But want to give him credit for that, especially with the first start of the year as a redshirt freshman. Deone Hill had a great debut as a Badger. He had 4 tackles. He has no problem hitting people. I also wrote down tackling as a whole was really, really good within the secondary as a whole. That was good to call out. Austin Brown, a little quiet, 1 tackle, 1 pass deflection, not bad though. Rico Hallman, 2 tackles, otherwise not too much action for the most part his way.
You just don't throw at Ricardo Hallman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw that last year, probably 10 out of the 12 games, maybe. I don't know, something like that. And last but not least, we had to give it up for our boy here. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah.
And he was just named the Jim Thorpe Defensive Back of the Week as well.
Love it.
Mr. Preston Zachman. This dude had two interceptions in the second half, 2 tackles. His first one definitely should have been a pick 6. I can't believe they didn't give that to him at the end there. But just going over that first one, I wanted to also give credit to Ben Barton actually, because in the play as the quarterback was rolling out, Ben Barton put his hands up just in the nick of time, I think, and it threw off Taquan Finn a little bit, and he threw a little bit across buddy towards the middle of the field. And I think that that ultimately helped with like converting on the interception on that. So I wanted to give flowers to Ben Barton on that play. And the second interception was just playing safety, like his position, right? Just playing basically like quarters or prevent basically, and just not letting anything get by you.
Yeah.
And then he came up in the clutch and got that second one. But no, absolutely great day for the secondary, everybody as a whole, right? You know, when you hold a team to 0 of 9 on third down, 217 total yards, and 40 plays total. What more can you ask for at the end of the day from the defensive unit? I think they were all in sync. They were all here. They were all ready to play, right? So if these guys would have been, if they could have won the game 3-0, I don't think the defense would have had a problem with it, to be quite honest. They wanted that challenge, I think. But yes, we want to score more points, but it's also great to get the shutout. I believe this is the first one since the year 2021 or 2022, one or the other. But it's great to see a Badgers D being so aggressive again, and cleaning up some of that other stuff like the tackling issues, and sacking the quarterback and creating turnovers.
All right. So as we move on, now the Badgers play a normal Saturday afternoon game this week. They play against Middle Tennessee, who lost to Austin, PA, 34-14. So real rough look for Middle Tennessee, and now they have to come to Camp Randall. That's it feels like one of those games where your school scheduled the game just to have a major conference give you some money.
We probably gave them a good
it's like one of those games where they're like, all right, we're going to send you guys into Madison. It's probably not going to be fun, but you're going to help the school out. And it's going to be kind of rough, but starting with the offensive line, Jake, what are you looking for from the Badgers offense on Saturday?
Yeah, so I wrote a good opportunity for the offensive line to gain some confidence going into a big-time matchup next week. Middle Tennessee gave up 45 carries for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns to Austin Peay. I mean, come on now. Allowed them to methodically run and control the clock. Austin Peay had the ball for 38 minutes and 35 seconds. Austin Peay was also 7-17 on third downs, putting themselves in good down and distance situations. Middle Tennessee did have 3 sacks and 7 tackles for loss in the game. They showed some fight up front towards the end of this game, but in total, this is a really good opportunity for the Badgers offensive line to, like I said, gain some confidence, create some roadblocks, break off some big time runs. And dude, you can't be losing to Austin Peay like that. They're on your level, dude. And clearly they're not on your level because you're a 0-star team right now.
Yeah. Mike, what are you looking for in the run game?
I'm looking for not 3 running backs to play. I'm looking for 4 running backs to play. I want this game. I want to we need to beat the shit out of somebody, right? This is going to be a good opportunity.
It's been a long time.
Let's get these reps in. I want to see Gideon Atuka out there at some point because he's showing a lot of promise too. Yeah. I want to see this running game absolutely just dominate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put that into my bold prediction. That's part of that too. So I'm going to leave the rest of that out of it. But no, I'm looking for everybody to get reps, kind of similar to last week with 3 guys, except we're going to add a 4th this week as well because we're going to play some good football. So
yeah, Bradrick Shaw getting some carries this week.
Yeah.
As far as the passing game is concerned, Austin PA had 2 quarterbacks play last week, combined for 14 for 27. Danny O'Neill was 12 for 19. Wisconsin also has a pretty deep wide receiver core, so I'm looking for the offense to spread the ball around and the cliche of taking what the defense gives you. Like I mentioned with the recap, Danny O'Neill held the ball too long a few times. He's basically 99% sure going to be the starter this week. I'd be fine with just holding Billy Edwards out anyways, because this is a game that I'm 1,000,000% confident that Danny O'Neill can lead the Badgers offense to victory. We just talked about all the running that can be done against Middle Tennessee. So I'm confident that Danny O'Neill can basically just be a game manager, complete a few passes, and the Badgers can move on.
Brother, they could put Atticus Bertram's at quarterback. I wouldn't give a shit this week. I mean that too.
Switch to the defensive side of the ball. Jake, what are you looking for the defensive line?
I hope they're hungry because it's time to eat, man. Middle Tennessee O-line struggled big time last week. They gave up 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and were only able to muster up 22 carries for 44 yards. That is courtesy of PFF, by the way, if you want to double-check me on my stats. Middle Tennessee was also 0 of 12 on 3rd down, so the Badgers are looking to go back-to-back weeks without giving up a 3rd down.
Yep.
I could see Rieger having 3-4 sacks alone. That's not even my bold prediction. I could literally just see him having 3-4 sacks by himself. I think the Badgers are going to absolutely eat. He's going to live in the backfield. I think in the first half that you're going to start feeling bad for Middle Tennessee being in Wisconsin. I honestly feel that way. I think we're going to feel bad for him.
As far as the linebackers are concerned, I mean, we're talking about the things that the Badgers can do to limit Middle Tennessee. And for me, what I want to see from the Badgers, this isn't even necessarily just something they can do against Middle Tennessee specifically. It's just something I want to see from them. I would like to see some more explosive plays by the linebackers in the running game. Okay. I want to see some tackles for loss. I want to see somebody blow up a screen, something like that. I want to see somebody just get shot out of a cannon and make a huge play in the backfield. That's what I'm looking for from the linebackers this week.
Yeah.
Mike, what are you looking for from the secondary?
I would say let's get somebody else a pick this week, right? That's part of it. But no, I think kind of similar to what, was like last week. I want to see maybe another like corner blitz. Let's try it again with Kamir Lattimore. Let's bring Deone Hill this time, right? Get these guys some reps so they have more experience going forward. I think that's going to be important, especially, and try some new things out. I think this is going to be a great week for that. And again, getting some freshmen some playing time too, like a Jameer Scott, a Kairos Gaines. Going to be a good opportunity, I think, for those guys to get reps in this game. I think ultimately, but we got to take care of business first. So I would say trying new things, whether that's blitz packages or different kinds of coverages that maybe you didn't give a shot, you didn't do last week. So look for new opportunities where you can get them.
All right, Jake, who is your X factor for Saturday?
So my X factor is Rieger. I have him versus left tackle Jacob Otts. Jacob Otts, he played all right week 1. He was one of the few players that was actually graded pretty decently. He was still below average, but decently for what Middle Tennessee put out there last week. He's going to be on an island all day on Saturday because their center, Marcus Miller, is terrible. He is god freaking awful. That might be the worst center I think I've ever seen in Division I football. I told you, I'm not pulling punches. He was terrible. I watched the replay of that game. Holy shit, dude. How did you get a D1 offer? I do not understand what's going on right now. They're going to have to give that guy a lot of help because Big Perk is not coming light. He's going to come hard. And Rieger is going to absolutely feast on Jacob Otts starting at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Mike, who do you have for an X factor?
Honestly, I wrote down the left tackle position, and I say that because I don't know. Number one, I don't know if Heinzen's going to start. There's rumors of somebody else starting there, like a Joe Brunner moving out to left tackle. There's rumors of Riley Mallman even potentially taking over at left tackle to start the game. So I'm looking forward to. I'm basically going to be watching that rotation the whole game. I don't see Davis Heinzen playing the whole time, even if he does start. I definitely, no matter how the game goes, I still see them trying out different kinds of combinations because we got to get this right before Bama, right?
Yep.
Because Bama's a team that we've seen last week that they are beatable. We
Yep.
can run. We should be able to run the ball against those dudes, right? So
Yep.
the one thing we need to do is get that left tackle position down. If it has to take multiple combinations to figure that out on Saturday, I'm all for it. But yeah, I think you could see maybe 3-4 different guys at that position at some point during the game just to find your best 5 out there ultimately, right? So I'll be watching that position, and I think that could be the X factor.
So I cheated a little bit just by saying the whole defense, and it's going to tie into something that'll lead into our next little segment here. But the whole defense specifically on third down. So the Badgers held Miami of Ohio to 0 for 9. Middle Tennessee State was 0 for 12. So if both of those things remain true, it sets up the Badgers to do very well, which my bold prediction would be to be back-to-back shutouts to start the season. I'll give you guys my score predictions after you guys give your bold predictions, but it's not pretty. So
not pretty for me either. Go ahead,
Jake. What do you have for a bold prediction for Saturday?
All right, I'll go first. My bold prediction is the Badgers will have at least, and those are the key words, 5 rushing touchdowns and 5 sacks.
I like it. Mike, what are you thinking for Saturday for a bold prediction?
Okay, since you kind of gave an offensive defensive one, I'm going to kind of combine mine too. We're going to run for 350 yards at least, and a D lineman's going to have a pick 6.
A D lineman pick 6. That would be fun.
Off a pass deflection or something. I don't know.
So little tidbit here. I was looking it up because I was like, dude, do I just go all in on Rieger this week and predict him to have the Badgers, sack record for one game? And I looked it up. It happened in 1985. A guy had 6 sacks in one game. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. He probably won't be playing enough in this game to have 6 sacks. So
we'd be pulling starters at halftime.
It probably won't happen.
All right, let's jump into some score predictions. I'll go first just because I kind of teased it already. From the head, I have the Badgers 35-0.
So close to mine, dude. Go ahead, Mike.
Jake, what's yours? Oh, all right.
Mikey, go ahead.
I got 31-6.
All right, Jake?
I have 35-3.
All right. My score from the heart is 45-0.
Hey, me too.
Do you really?
That's what I got.
Nice.
All right.
Love it.
I have 42-0.
All right. I love it.
Right.
It'll be fun to watch. It should be kind of a good, like Jake and Mike were saying, like a confidence builder, kind of a get right game, a preparation game, confidence builder for the Badgers. And then also, like I said, we will have 8 Milwaukee Brewer games to discuss next week as well. So join us again next Wednesday for more Brewers and Badgers coverage. Thanks again, everybody, for sticking around. And we will see you guys next week.
Later, fellas.